Hello, hello. This is Anna, Imagination of the Healing Garden, and welcome to Philosophical Coffee. I am using flashcards today to put together a game that I'm building called Fear Nevermore. It is a fear eliminating game. It's going to be basically cards, and it walks you through your thinking process to train your brain to start thinking again. And I put together a flow chart a couple days ago, and I started using it on myself, and holy fucking shit, is this thing effective. And then I used it on my son yesterday to walk him through it, and we basically played until we found his limiting belief, and it took 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So how it works is basically you're going to have the cards laid out on the table, and the cards will ask you a basic question. What do you want? Now, what do you want is one of the best questions ever, because people usually say, I don't know. And it's being played. It has to be played with pen, paper. So you ask the question, what do you want? And you fill it out. Now, when you trigger or you think about want, eventually you're going to have fear pop up. Now, it could be anything from discomfort to fear and you literally write down everything you want until you get to a feeling. And when you get to a feeling, that's when you pull out the cards. The feelings are then going to be one of three choices. Always. It's always one of three choices. It's either a feeling of your wants are incompatible with each other. It's when you want multiple things, but you feel like you have to choose. So your wants are incompatible. The next obstacle that a lot of people run into is your wants, you don't know how. You want something, but you don't know how. Now, the how means you feel like you lack the skill. Nope, that's knowledge. It feels like you lack the knowledge. And then the next one is you lack the skill. Is it skill? I think it's the same thing. Skills? No, it's not skills. Which is the resources. Yeah. Quality. It's almost as if some people choose based off of whether or not they're good to do it. Yeah, so it's not their resources, it's their quality. So there's, I don't know how, I lack knowledge. I lack skills, so I can't do it well. And then the other thing is you lack resources. So then you would basically go through and you would cycle it through over and over again until you get to one of these things. And then what we would do from there is it's all about choice. Fear always comes back to choice over and over again. So then what happens when we're traumatized is we stop learning. We stop problem solving. We stop thinking about solutions because the fear system gets in the way. And this basically circumvents it so that you're not thinking, trying to get around it on your own. It restarts it for you, like reminding you, oh yeah, you're supposed to problem solve. It was one of the things that I noticed when I worked with people was how many of them could not, like, they got to an obstacle and they imploded emotionally and fell apart and made it a catastrophe. And it's like, why aren't you problem solving? And it was really interesting to sit down and analyze it. And I did it too. Everyone does it. A lot of people do it. And I'm like, what's going on that we're not problem solving? Now, once you get into the habit of problem solving, it takes over and that's all you do. And then you never have fear. There's a lot going on there. So it was really interesting So when you get to the you lack resources, what that then comes down to is you basically need to get the resources. And a lot of people will get back to, I don't know how. Yeah, so we're back to the I don't know how, or I can't learn. And it's basically teaching you to get around that. Okay, so, and those are the three things that come over and come back over again. So, one of the things that is very common is I want friends. Okay, so what would be a great way? So, you want friends. Why? What's stopping you? And that's the question to ask is what is stopping you? And that always comes down to three things is I have to choose between X and friends, or I don't know how to get friends, or I don't have the resources to get friends. And so then the next problem from that would be, okay, well, learn how to get friends. And a lot of people come back with I don't know how to learn. Truly, they don't know how to learn. So the game will literally be a walkthrough of ABC, and this is the things you take. So you just keep taking it. And eventually it comes down to, I can't do X unless or until I, and that's when we discover a limiting belief. And it's limiting beliefs are that they're almost the same thing over and over again. Everyone has, there's like only 5 limiting beliefs, and they keep coming up in variations all over again. It's I'm not lovable. That's a big one that a lot of people run into is no one would love me, no one would like me. And then breaking it down from there, there's more flowchart of basically every event has variables to it. There's variables and constants. And you weigh in the different variables. Well, I've tried, I've done this, I lack proof of concept. So it's basically teaching people how to circumvent all of these obstacles through this. So that's one of the things I'm in the process of building. So I've got a lot on my mind this morning, and yesterday was one of those days where I just had so many ideas just surface, and it was this fantastic going forward with it and putting a lot of ideas together. And now I'm rethinking it, fine-tuning it, and it's making sure that it's done the right way. It's when you want to do something, the work and effort is non-existent. And I was thinking about this because it really fucking bothers me in physics. The definition of work really rubs me the wrong way in physics. Every time I read it, it bothers me because it's not fucking accurate. It just doesn't, I hate the fucking word. And I'm like, this is not. So I'm going to read you the definition of work in physics. It's basically refers to as effort. And that's one of the definitions. There you go. So energy transferred to or from an object via the application of force along a displacement. And it's the concept of force. And it really fucking bothers me. It basically means that, yeah, and that's just it, is it requires force. It's the transfer of energy by a force acting on an object. And the and this is it is okay. Therefore, if that's the case, then you are literally forcing yourself to do the work. You have to force yourself to do work, literally. And if you are forcing yourself to do work, it's not going to be fun. Therefore, work is never fun. And there's a whole lot of people going, yep, that's about right. And I'm going, okay, well, what about getting results without having to force? What happens when you get results and you have ABC without, there's something just nagging me. And I know force means something different in physics than it does everywhere else. It's not the same thing. And this is the other word in physics where I hate the definition of it. And I'm like, that's not. So force in physics means an influence that can cause an object to change in velocity. And it's basically an X amount of energy. And it's bothering me. It's just. So I have this mindset and this concept of learn and play, and or play learning for adults, where you heal through play. And I'm scattered today. I can feel it. And I'm just, if you want to do it, there's no work. If you want to do something, the want and the desire is the momentum. Joy literally builds the momentum for you so that it's self-propelling. It's like joy is literally you, and this is it, is you have to choose between joy and force. If you use joy, then it self-propels and there's no work. If you use force, then there's no joy and now it's work. And when we think about work as being the product or the action to get us the product or results of what we sow, it means that based off of the physics definition, you're never going to get any results unless you are not enjoying it. It's as if to say that results are only achievable if you're not enjoying it. And that is what's bothering me about these definitions. When I was breaking them all down in physics, I'm like, okay, so logically, if you take these definitions, it means that you are never going to get results unless you are doing something without joy. And that's not true. You get results, better results, more results when you don't force them and when you use joy. So I'm going, something's not adding up. None of this is adding up. And it's specifically around the definitions of force and joy. I'm sorry, force and work. Now, if I were to take the physics out of these two words, it still is the same thing. It still implies the same thing, which still implies the primary mindset that a lot of people have, that work cannot be fun. And there's a very, very few handful of people who are going, oh yeah, I enjoy my work. And that's just it, is when I've met those people, and one of the things they say, and I'm one of them, is I don't work, I play and I monetize play. It's like, I don't work. Why would I do that? I don't work, because we have this thing in our head in physics also, that work means you are forcing something to get results. And the thing is, there is a list of lies. I'll just say it. There's a list of lies that religious people tell you. And this is one of them. I'm going to be writing a book, all the things religious people lie to us about. And this is right at the top. It is that if you want results, you have to work. And it goes back to the stupid Adam and Eve story, that man is being punished, therefore he must work, therefore he must not enjoy it. That's all it comes down to. So as a result, there is this unspoken law of you have to be miserable because that's your punishment. Yeah, God, I fucking hate religion. So, and God, that really is the core to a lot of this, is the belief that we're going to talk about this, because this is really the core of all of this, is some dipshits believe that Adam and Eve and their children's children have to be punished. So life has to be work and fucking miserable because they ate some fruit a few thousand years ago. And there's literally this unspoken core mentality that we all have to be working and we all have to be tilling the earth, and it's going to be hard and miserable, and we have to take our lumps because of what Adam and Eve decided a few years ago. And it's like, and I feel like I can feel it. Our entire city, our entire culture is built on this mindset. Like I said, lies that religious people tell you. That if you want honest results, and that's why they call it honest work. Isn't that fucking dirty? Honest work. This is going to be the very first. I'm going to do it. Lies religious people tell you. I'm doing it right now. Lies religious people tell you. And this is, yes, this is going to be my book. Lies that religious people tell you. Lies that religious people tell you. And we build our entire culture around these lies. And it's just, it shapes our culture, and it's so fucking toxic. And the first one is honest work. The belief that true results come with suffering, pain, and sacrifice. Who the fuck? I no. Why this is toxic, why this is wrong, and why this is toxic. Yeah, I'm going to put all my hatred into this book. That'll make me happier. Why this is wrong, why this is toxic. And I'll just use the entire book to correct the logical fallacies that I was raised with, and that'll make me feel better. Just like, I'm going to correct the logic, and when I write it out to explain the logical fallacy, it'll correct it in my brain, and then I will be happy because I've removed the resistance. Yay! So, yeah, I'm going to do this. It's going to be the lies that religious people tell you. And it's one of the things that just blows my mind away. And it's deep. It's deep. This stuff is like really fucking deep inside of us. And it's extraordinary to see how deep it is. And it was literally the thing that my father and I fought about so much. Was he taught and expected me to be fuck miserable. Like, I have to be miserable because Adam and Eve said so. You've got to be miserable. And parents teach their children truly that you have to be miserable because that's our lot. And I just, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. So, and I'm looking at physics with these definitions of force and work. And I'm like, even physics backs this up. And that's where, thank you, Newton, I say we really need to look back and define or redefine these terms. The force is still there. If it's the energy, it's the energy. It's not force, it's the energy that causes results. It's the energy you put into something. The word force means without consent. So you have resistance. But physics always, see, I just think that the word is not the correct word that they're using. And as a result, we're hearing the word force, which means without consent, which does very much exist in physics, because then we call that resistance. But they already calculate for resistance in physics. So I'm going, then why would you call it force? How is force different from energy? Let's do that. How is force different than energy? How is force, then this is really what I want to know, is how is force different than energy in physics? This is what I want to know. Okay, force is measured in newtons, energy is measured in joules. A force is a push or pull that can be seen and felt, whereas energy is a slightly more abstract term. Energy can be seen, it can be felt. Push or pull that can be seen and felt. Okay, it sounds like force is just the physics, the material playing of the, so yeah, it sounds like it's just the material playing of the abstract phrase. Is force and energy. A force is, okay, the term energy and force are not interchangeable. They are not synonymous. A force is a push-pull that can be seen or felt, whereas energy is slightly more abstract. Slightly more abstract does not define it. Force is measured in newtons. Okay, that is not a definition. That is such a fucking inadequate definition. So what is energy? See, I think it's bullshit. What is energy? It's more abstract. That's not a definition. That doesn't answer the question. It's the quantitative property that transferred a body to a physical system. That is force. Strength and vitality required for sustained physical or mental activity. That is force. Power derived from the utilization of physical or chemical resources, especially provide light and I'll analyze that later. But I don't know. Something is illogical in my system right now, and it's bugging me because I'm going, I feel scratching in my head. I feel logical scratching, like something is off with me today, where I'm going, there is illogic here. I can feel it. And I'm like sniffing around trying to figure out where is the illogic. My thesis this morning is we have a really fucked up concept of work and play. We have a really fucked up concept of play. That is it. That's what's scratching in my head. And there's two ways you can do with this, and there's two schools of thoughts. There's people who say, I love my work. And then there's people who say, no, I don't work. I play. Don't use that word around me. And so there are people who play who are anti-work. And then there are people who have redefined the work so that work is synonymous with play for them. And that's it. There's two contradicting. So no one is actually agreeing on what work is because you've got two definitions. Anytime there is inconsistency, it means that it's poorly defined. Now, everyone agrees that play is fun, but some people say work is not fun. Work is hell. Other people say, I love my work. My work is play. So there is an inconsistency with what is actually work. Now, whenever I see an inconsistency like that, I turn to physics and say, well, what does physics say? What do the sciences say? And their definition of work, I don't agree with. It doesn't feel right because it's illogical, which is why it doesn't feel right, because it contradicts my intuitive logic. So something's off here. And the reason why this is important is because when it comes to all the work I do, what did I mean just now when I said all the work I do? It's almost as if work is learning. It's almost as if work means generating. Now that makes sense. It's as if work means generating. The thing is, I figured it out. I got it. It says work is generating. Now, as it stands, the definition implies they're absolutes. Oh, there you go. That's what's wrong. Their definition are absolutes. I'm better now. We're done here. That's it. I'm good. So I'll explain. Their definitions are absolutes. It means that work is only by force. And I'm like, no, it could also be by energy. So no, all of work is actually generating. That's what it is. It's what you generate. It's what do you generate? Now, there's two ways you can generate something. You can generate something by force, which is without joy, or you can generate something with joy, which is using your energy. Now, you can also passive income. You can generate something without force or energy. So the concept that, and this is true in life and in physics, the concept that you could only generate results via misery or force is bullshit. You can use energy. And then there's energy conservation. Energy conservation is a huge part of physics and biology and real life. Energy conservation is huge, or preservation. And I am all big on let's do as much energy preservation as possible because that is what our system seeks. And the concept of lazy comes from the idea of, oh, you're not generating results with misery. you're not generating results. And this is really something I want to dissect. Let's dive deep into the fourth perspective slave mind. It's very much and my father raised me on this concept. I have a very toxic mindset when it comes to work because my father did a real fucking number on me with work. He made me he indulged me in constant work. And it was very much a working is all there is. I value work. Play is garbage. It was horrible. And I have severe, like and the work I do, see, the results I generate, yeah, it's generating. It's very much generating. All of that stuff that I do is very much and this is where we hear the phrase work smart, which is where you're generating for results. You're generating results. And there's basically three ways you can do it. You can do it with force, you can do it with energy, and you can do it with without either. Yeah, passive income. That's where we see passive income. And we could say self-generating. Let's do that. Self-generating or self-sustaining. And my father was not concerned. This is extraordinary, this mindset. He was not concerned with the results. He didn't give a shit about the results. He wanted to make sure you were breaking a sweat and suffering. That was the point. Were you breaking a sweat and were you suffering? And he only valued work and results if you broke a sweat and suffered. And if you did not have these two qualifications, you were not working. So for my father, working meant breaking a sweat and suffering to get results. Now, it didn't matter if you got the results. You were trying to get results. That's what mattered. Yeah, to get results. I'm going to say to try and get results. And it was very much irrelevant whether or not you did get the results. You had to suffer and you had to break a sweat. And if you were not suffering and breaking a sweat, then he was like, no, you're not working. This isn't good enough. And this really fucked me up. It really fucked everybody in my family up. I bought a brand new car. It was like a 6-month-old car in 2006. And I loved my car. I love that car. And my father, and we were in our 30s, and my father did a whole, how dare you? And he was just very lashed out and angry. We didn't break a sweat and we didn't suffer. How dare we have that car? And he would literally purchase used vehicles that were shit. That he bought one car without a transmission once. And he very much believed that you could have nothing without suffering and sweating. And that's all that mattered. That's literally how he measured all value. And this is it, is how do you measure your value? This is a really good fucking question. This is what's bothering me today, is how do you measure value? And there's all these things in our heads that we're not processing are there. And this is it. Some people measure value based off of, are you suffering and have you broken a sweat? And this mindset is a slave mindset. It's what keeps you literally secured in this concept of, oh, well, if you haven't suffered, then you don't deserve it. And it's this concept of, how do you measure earning something? And this is a really good core piece, because when you're looking at pricing and monetizing things, when you're looking at generating and trying to figure out how much something is worth, there's two sides to look at it. There's how much work, how much effort. Maybe that's it, is work effort. Work equals effort. Did it cost you to get X? See, I wouldn't say it's effort because I put my attention. I would almost say that work is deliberate intention. Ooh, I think I got it. Deliberate intention. Okay, so I do something called exploratory dialogue. Exploratory dialogue is exactly this. It's when you randomly just talk until you figure out what it is you're going, and it's explorative dialogue. And it's one of the primary tools I use to figure my shit out. I recommend it to you. It's wonderful. If you don't have someone to talk to, it's okay. You can journal, you can write, you can podcast. And you don't have to make these things public. You can just like record yourself. It's wonderful because it allows you the open explorative of where does it feel right? Where are we getting closer to it? And I'm using my feelings while I'm talking to navigate what feels right, what feels wrong, like a barometer, exactly like I've got a tuning fork. And as I'm using the words, because words are linked to emotion, they are inseparable. And a lot of people use words without linking them to their emotions, which is the problem. Is the more you define your emotions, the more you define words. Words or emotions are synonymous, so that you can start using the words to direct you toward the right logical conclusion. Logic and words are the same thing. So emotions and logic are the same thing. See that? So emotions and feelings and words are equal and synonymous. Words and logic are synonymous. Therefore, emotions and logic are synonymous. That's a logical proof. And it's fucking true. It's fucking true. Screw you, Gene Roddenberry. It's fucking true. Emotions and words are synonymous, and words and logic are synonymous. Therefore, emotions and logic are synonymous. So if you're using the wrong word, you're fucking up your logic. Guess what? You have logical health in you that dictates everything that you think and feel and are. So if you're using the wrong words, that's going to fuck up your logical health. Hence, cognitive dissonance. Hence, mental illness. When you start using the right words, you start understanding because you are using the proper words to define your proper emotions, to define your proper logic. The problem with the world today is we're all using the wrong words. As soon as you start using the right words, you stop gaslighting yourself. That's why gaslighting hurts, is because it's just people using the wrong words. So, deliberate attention is work. Play, for me, is actually quite the opposite. Play is random. There is no deliberate. There's no intention. It has to be sporadic because it's the opposite of deliberate attention. It's, I'm going to strip away all intention and just intention, attention. Those words are similar. Interesting. Interesting. Intent, attent. What does that mean? Attent. Sounds like attend. Intend, attend. Attend, to be present at, to deal with, versus intend. What is the difference between intend and attend? Interesting that they're similar. I never noticed this. Attend to this. That's very interesting. Intention. There's something there. A thing intended. An aim or a plan. A plan. Intent with plan. And to deal with. To deal with. To address. To be present at. To go to. To pay attention to. To be aware. Oh, I need to go to etymology for this one. Entendere, add to, stretch. Apply one's mind or energy to apply. There, that's attend, to apply. You want to know what the word really means? Go back to the beginning. It means to apply to. Tendere, to stretch. Attendere, attendre is Old French. To attend, apply one's mind or energy to apply energy to. That's what it originally means. So everything else is like an extension off of that and the evolution of to attend, to apply to. I'm going to dig out those later. But yeah, it's very much a deliberate intention. Yeah. Deliberate. It's quite. It is as if work has purpose, but play does not. That's not true, because play has purpose. It's like one is free and the other is not. One is structured, the other is not. Like with focus, the other's not. And I'm trying to figure out, this is really what I want to know. Is work truly toxic, or is it our association with the word that's traumatizing? Have we had so much trauma with work that we associate trauma with work? Or is the word itself the problem? Is the definition and the actual meaning behind the word? It's like the concept slavery. The word slavery, the concept of slavery, the abstract of slavery is a fucking horrible thing. To be without freedom, to have no consent, to compromise one's self-authority. Slavery, no matter how you cut it, is fucking ugly. The problem is not the trauma associated with it. The problem is the word. It is the encompassment of the trauma. And I'm trying to figure out if work is that way. That's what the purpose of this whole video is work the problem, or is the word association the problem? Why is this important? Because if the word association is the problem, we got mental work to do. We have work to do to straighten our shit out. But if the word itself is the problem, if the word is toxic, we need a new word. Now, if you just start using another word to avoid it because of trauma, that's actually enabling the problem. And now you are avoiding, and now you are not dealing with your shit. But if the word is the problem, we do need a new word. So if we reject the word because it's a bad word, it's good and healthy. And we don't have to subject ourselves to do a new way of thinking. It is legitimately a bad thing that we should remove from our life. If the trauma is associated with a word, then we need to embrace the word and redefine it and work through the trauma. We shouldn't reject it. So the question is, should we reject work or not? And in order to determine if you should reject work, needs to be based upon if the word is truly toxic or not. I'm going to use a different word here as an example. The word friend for me has a lot of fucking trauma to it. Now, I know in this example that the word is good, my association is bad. But I'm going to show you what happens if I didn't have a black and white answer to this and if I fucked this up. So if the word is bad, then I would basically refuse all friendships and I would never have friends. Versus I would have friends, but I would just use a different word. And that's the difference. Do you refuse and reject all friendships to avoid the word, or do you just use a different word? Now, with the word friendship, because this one we know, the word is good, it's the trauma that's bad, I know I have the work to do of, okay, I need to reteach myself the true definition of the word friend and make sure that I select healthy people around that. But with the word work, I really don't know. So now I'm going, do I reject all work, or is the word, is the trauma association the problem, or is the word the problem? Now, slave, let's go the opposite. Slave is a really fucking bad thing. I don't want to be around the word. I don't want to be around any of the association. And I don't want anything in my life that emanates slavery, because I know it's toxic and it's not healthy. So I've rejected it. So slavery is rejected, friendship is embraced, and I'm putting myself through the trauma recovery. What about work? I can't tell. I'm sitting here going, is work good or is it bad? Slavery is bad. Friendship is good. And because I have those defined, the work is the concept. And it's really the concept. Whenever you use a word, you are actually accessing the concept of the word. So every time you use a word, you are accessing the logical concept. And the logical concept is your emotions, which are logical. Therefore, your emotions are telling you which logical concept you are accessing. But if you are accessing the wrong word, you now are going to have contradiction, which is why there is pain associated for me with the word friend, is because there is a contradiction. The word means X, but I'm not seeing it. Therefore, I now have logical fallacy. This is how words are logical. Words, logic, and feelings are the same fucking things. They're the same thing. They are all synonymous. Logic, word, and emotion all are equal. They are the same thing. They are synonymous. So if you have two different emotions, two different words, you have two different logics. Now you have cognitive dissonance. So my issue with work keeps coming back over and over again. And in point of fact, this is not a cut and dry, well, this is easy. No, it's not, because there are multiple definitions revolving around the concept of work, and no one is in agreement, not even physics. See, this is where I'm like, I will just use physics, because physics has the problem with physics sometimes is that it's been created and defined by a bunch of not linguists. I'm a linguist. So when I'm stepping into physics, sometimes I get to the words definition, dimension, force, and work. Those are the four words that physicists use. And I'm going, you guys really need to study etymology and definition and logic before you start naming shit, because you guys don't have a clue what you're talking about sometimes. And they do, but the words are wrong. And because the words are wrong, there's confusion. And that's starting to, because that's exactly how words work, is you're using the wrong logic, so you're gonna get confused. So I'm looking at this shit and I'm just really fucking pissed at this point, because I'm still trying to figure out, is my father right or is he wrong? So it's this constant, what is work? Is work good or is it bad? And the good and bad is all about measuring one's ethics. It's a metric of ethics. I know I'm saying that whenever I use the word good or bad, but just looking at this concept of work. And I'm trying to figure out, do I need exposure therapy to work, or do I need to literally amputate? And amputating something that's good is going to really lead to mental illness. Exposure therapy to something that's bad is going to lead to mental illness. So it's really fucking important that we figure out if work is good or bad, so we can figure out if it's supposed to be exposure therapy or an amputation. It's like slavery, that was an easy amputation. Friendship, exposure therapy. And this is how it keeps coming back, is amputate or exposure therapy. Let me go ahead and take a look at this. So I keep looking back over at the work definition. Let me go back to the etymology of the word work. The etymology never fails me. Yeah, see, the word work from physics was from 1826, a French mathematician who said that it's weight lifted through a height. So this Jasper Gustave Coriolis, I'm looking at this guy going, dude, nomenclature was not your area of expertise, clearly. So let's abandon physics and just look at I have no idea what it is if it's English. Only giving me the etymology for physics, and I'm like, no. It's only giving me the definition in physics, and I'm trying to figure out if that is my search history. Okay, here we go. An activity involving mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a purpose or result. It is synonymous with drudgery and slog, toil. Wow. Work one's fingers to the bone. Work like a Trojan. Work hard. Labor. Wow. Wow. Oh, here we go. Latin. Tudicula. Machine for crushing olives. Tudiculare, to stir about. Toiler. Then it became Anglo-Norman French. Strive and dispute. Toil, confusion. Tundere, to crush. Now you have toil. All right, so interesting. It almost sounds like the word work could also mean to do. Effort. I want to know where this word comes from. Good or moral deeds is the theological definition. Something a person has to do. That's slavery. Yeah. Okay. So I'm getting the same problem with truth here, the same truth problem. There are so many definitions. Yeah, no one can agree on the definition. Yeah, there's like so many definitions. Okay, Germanic. Werk. Wirken. Work. Old English Werk, related to Dutch Werk, German Werk. Suffix work, denoting things or parts made of specific material. The full meaning of the word work. Activity in which one exerts strength or faculties to do or perform something. Activity that a person engages in regularly to earn a livelihood. Old English, work, something done. This is from work, Old English, something done, discrete act performed by someone, action, whether voluntary or required. Proceeding business, that which is made or manufactured products of labor. I'm going to ask the question. See, the word labor is not. Yes, labor means hard work. To make great effort. See, all of this comes down to if it's easy, it's not work. And that's the problem. If it's hard, then it's work. And that's not true. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Something is easy when it's simple and you're learning it in order. Something is hard when it is complex and you are learning it out of order and without consent, with force. Something is easy when you consent to do it without force. I had to work for it. Put in effort. That's a verb, to work for it. What do you do for work? That's a noun. Whenever I do my studies, like right now, I have to work for this definition. I am putting in effort to look for this definition. I consent to do it. It is requiring time, energy, but I'm having a fucking blast doing this. I'm having fun right now. This is my idea of fun. This is puzzling. This is a puzzle and it's a riddle. Is it easy? Yeah, it's easy. So it's not work. See what I mean? Because it's easy. Challenging. It can be easy and challenging. All right, there you go. What do you call the things that are easy but challenging? Is that work? I do believe I found a logical fallacy with the word work. What if it's easy but challenging? I find this challenge very easy. If you amputate it, will it cause mental issue? See, there's a lot of people in the world who love to go, I don't want labels. Okay, let's pause and think about that. Those people, if you have an aversion to labels, you have a bigger problem that you're not dealing with. A much bigger problem. But if you're amputating too quickly, you're not healing and you're actually enabling your mental illness. So for the people going, just don't use the word amputate it, stop. I understand the repercussions of what happens when that happens. What happens is you end up sweeping it under the rug and you're not dealing with it. But is this something that you need to deal with? And that's really what I'm asking myself. If you have a problem with work, is it something that you really need to deal with? Or is it truly something that you need to avert? And people are so quick. If you are somebody who goes, don't label me, you need to do some fucking work. If you are throwing around the word label too much, you got mental shit to clean up. And it's our fast sweep that under the rug. Don't ask me about it. There. No, you got to sit down and really do some self-evaluation. Because when you are on this don't label me kick, you are removing emotions, logic, and words from your life. So people who are on this whole don't label me shit are probably some of the most toxic fucking people I have ever met, who are more quick to amputate and throw away vocabulary than deal with their fucking shit. Highly toxic. Empaths are notorious for that shit. Don't label me. Don't label me. You've got some problems. I can tell you what that is. What your problem is you associate slavery with the actual labels and expectations. It's the concept of the minute somebody uses a word on you, you are now feeling obligated to live up to those expectations because somebody forced you to live up to those expectations. Now, after you've done the work, it stops being don't label me to a, yeah, I'm more over here. It's the reaction. It's the aggression that's the red flag. It's not the whole, it's the evaluation. Oh, that's a good way of putting this. Does work evoke? Yes. Oh, there it is. Found it. I found it. So the word work does evoke an emotional response from me. Therefore, I have work to do. There it is. I do need to analyze my work and figure this shit out. I should not just amputate the word and get rid of it out of my vocabulary. I need to address my issue with work to figure out what exactly, and I know what it is, my problem is with work. It's my father. And once I have that resolved, then the word will no longer be a problem for me. So I need exposure therapy. And that's why I do this shit. So my whole playground revolves around the idea of, yeah, I see it now. This is what this all boils down to, is when I am putting my playground together, one of my questions was, is work bad? Is work bad? Is work something that should be avoided? Is that something that when I put together all of the stuff I'm putting together, is the word work something that I should not include? Or am I building something to enable my own trauma? And that's why I needed to go through this. Was I enabling my own trauma? Or was it something legitimate like slavery that I need to completely get rid of? And now I have a full, oh, it's something that I need to work on. So now I know I need to walk myself through the concept of work, because every time I hear the word work, I have a glitch in my brain that's going, yeah, I'm very defensive. I can feel it. So, and that is what I mean when you have people who are obsessed with labels. Well, they'll throw it away without asking all the questions. It's an immediate, I don't want to look at that. Let's close the door on it. And if you are quick to close the door on something, that's a red flag. That is a huge red flag. Self-awareness and self-evaluation is vital to the healing process. I'm feeling with philosophical coffee like it's, I'm stuck. I feel like we go through life sometimes and we have a problem domain. You know, we do. We absolutely have a problem domain. There's life, and then you get stuck in a problem domain. And when you're stuck in a problem domain, it's equivalent to wandering around a maze and you can't figure out where the door is so you can get back to life. And I feel like life is happening over there for me with some things, but then other things, I'm in a problem domain. And I keep using these tools within the problem domain to get myself out of it. And lately, about last week, I've been noticing that the problem domains have been solved and I've been getting back to life again and getting back to life. And then life continues and then I get back into a problem domain with something else. And Problem solving is a huge part of life, and it's not something we're taught. It's not something we're aware of. And when I was doing my healing and building all of my work, one of my creations, when I was making my creations, one of the things that I realized was a common denominator was people aren't problem solving. They don't know how to, or they feel they lack the resources. And they couldn't even problem solve to problem solve. And that's a big problem. So there's this, I'm going to sit down and quit. I'm going to sit down and just not do over and over again. And I could see this happening with people where they just quit life. They quit living because they don't know how to problem solve. They're stuck in a domain. And they're not leaving the problem domain because they don't, it's like they're literally caught in a problem domain or an escape room. The people with addictions are caught in the escape room. And that's really it, is you've got some people who are caught in the escape room and some people who are caught in the problem domain. And neither one of them knows how to problem solve. And the problem solvers are the ones who don't get in the escape room in the problem domain. And life is where you learn and problem solve. And that's it. This is where you're at. You are either learning and problem solving, or you're in an escape room, or you're in a problem domain. Those are your three options. And if you're problem solving and you're learning, you don't need me. You don't need this. You're not here. You don't need it. You can problem solve. You're learning life. You're living. Learning is living. But it's the people who are stuck in either the escape room or the problem domain. And I'm watching both of them go, well, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. And they don't know what their problem is. And a lot of people, you've got healers, you've got coaches, and we'll try this, we'll try this, we'll try this, we'll try this. I'm not a person to try shit. I want the fucking answer. I want the right answer. I want the big picture and the actual solution. I don't want to trial and error this shit. Trial and erroring is great for when you're doing research and you don't know the answer. But at a certain point, you want to finally go, aha, eureka, I've got it. And I'm not seeing that anywhere. I'm seeing a lot of professionals trial and erroring. And I'm going, what the fuck are you doing? Trial and erroring while you're calling yourself a fucking professional. Either you know your shit or you don't. And if you're doing laboratory shit, get your fucking ass back to the laboratory and at least claim it. We have a beta thing that we're trying out, but they're not saying that. They're cramming down all these ideas down our throats saying, oh yeah, we got the solution. No, they fucking don't. Which is why people are in therapy for 20 years, because they don't fucking know what they're doing. So I'm looking at this going, okay, what's really happening? What's the common denominator? And I realized that the common denominator is not mental illness. The common denominator isn't even education. The common denominator is an inability to problem solve. That's it. Psychologists are so fucking bad at problem solving that they can't even problem solve this. That's how bad it is. Educators are so fucking bad at educating and problem solving that they're not problem solving. When you see a reoccurring problem or a problem that is chronic, you need to be problem solving. But they're not. They're guessing. You want to know what psychologists do? They're guessing. Claiming to be doctors, but they're guessing. Would you have a surgeon work on you who's guessing? I mean, think about it. You have self-proclaimed educators, professionals, and they're guessing. And I'm like, we've been educating people for 2,000 years and you're guessing? Are you that uneducated? that you're guessing on the right way to educate people? And ADHD, neurodivergent, I'm going to be blunt with you. These are not new concepts. The terms are new, but the concepts are not. It's as if the more aware of things we become, the more realistic they become. It's almost as if you think, therefore it becomes. Interesting. It's almost as if somebody manifested ADHD and poof, everyone's got ADHD. It's almost as if somebody manifested Asperger's and autism and suddenly poof, everybody's got it. Everybody's now on the spectrum. And when I have people who I work with, the very first thing I say to them is, there's nothing wrong with you. And they're like, what? There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. The problem is them. The problem is everybody telling you that you have a problem. So you think you have a problem. So you act like you have a problem. They are placebo affecting you. There are 4 proven medical conditions that placebo effects work. We call that mass hysteria, mob mentality, placebo effect, and psychological entrapment. So that, and these are physical, proven scientific conditions. So that if somebody tells you you have a mental illness, you're gonna have a mental illness. If somebody tells you you're crazy, you're gonna act crazy. If somebody tells you you're insane, you're going to act insane. They are using psychological entrapment, gaslighting, to placebo affect you with literally mass hysteria. Mass hysteria is a physical disorder. That if you think it, the mind will create it. So if you think you're crazy, you're going to be crazy. And if you think that you have a mental illness, well, then you're going to have a mental illness. This is why diagnoses are so fucking toxic. Psychologists are dipshits. Because when you tell somebody they have PTSD, they will have PTSD. Because mass hysteria and placebo effect do exist. Science proves it. That if you tell somebody that they have bipolar, they will act like they have bipolar. So when someone comes into your office and they say, what's wrong with me? And you say, you have these diagnoses, they are making you sick. Because placebo effect, gaslighting, mass hysteria, and psychological entrapment are real fucking shit, deep things where if the mind thinks it, it will create it. Some more things that the mind will do is it will create rashes on your skin. The subconscious mind will create physical elements. The physical mind or the subconscious mind will give you cancer if it thinks it will. And it will, true story, kill cancer if it thinks it can. This has been so fucking proven. So when you have a psychologist giving you a diagnosis, they are literally signing your death warrant because they've convinced the subconscious mind. And here's the dumb part. Because we give credibility to psychologists, oh, you're fucked. It's the credibility that's the problem. The minute you believe the credibility of a psychologist and they diagnose you, you're done. Because that's how the subconscious mind works, because science says so. It's incredible. And the dumb fucks who know this, who should know this, are the psychologists who are teaching this shit. I say again, are they this stupid or are they this manipulative? And I can't tell which. which is why I'm huge on DIY healing, which is why I'm huge on you need to choose, you need to decide, you need to figure shit out, because that gives you choice, which gives you self-authority, which gives you confidence and empowers. And it all starts up with you choosing. So the moment you choose, you are in charge. And the moment you're in charge, you have taken your self-authority and you've already begun your healing. And and it's literally that is your life is in ratio to your self-authority. It's literally a ratio of how good things are versus your self-authority, which is contingent upon all of your choices. So if you have a really shitty life, it's because you're taking no choices, because you're not empowering your self-authority, because you have no confidence. And the catalyst to all of this is choosing. So if you have a really good life, it's because you're making a lot of choices, which empowers your self-authority, which enables your confidence. So then you make more choices, which enables and empowers your self-authority, which gives you more confidence. And when you have confidence, you have self-esteem. So then you make more choices, which empowers your self-authority, which gives you more confidence. Suddenly your life is getting better. This is why DIY healing is so fucking important to a human's self-system. You have compromised the self the moment you have chosen to not choose. And there is this point in our lives where you can choose to do for you. You can choose to not choose. You can choose to put all of your self-authority onto a professional. And here's the problem with that. The minute you rely on a shitty professional to make decisions for you, you've empowered them and taken yourself out. Now, if it were a science, I could understand that, like medicine. I don't know a damn thing about anatomy. I go to a professional for that shit, but they're not guessing anymore. Doctors, for the most part, depending upon a lot of things that are out there, you got to use your authority to determine if somebody is legit or not. They're pretty good. If you have a legitimate, like, oh, I've cut myself to the bone, I need to go to a doctor. This is not trial and error. They're not guessing that you need stitches. Boom, doctor, available. There's no guessing. The minute they start guessing, you start questioning. And the fact is, psychology is not a science. Look it up. It is not considered as part of a science. There's no scientific method. And when you look up all the sciences, they won't acknowledge it because it's garbage. Oh, but they're throwing around words like diagnosis, doctor, professional. How fucking dare they? There is nothing more unethical than a fucking psychologist for this reason. The minute they start calling themselves doctors and professionals and diagnosing, how fucking dare they? What they really need to do is step down and say, we don't have a fucking clue what we're doing and we're guessing. We've got this new thing over here that's not really new. We just haven't done any of the research to know that it's 2,000 years old. So we're going to credit these other guys from the 1800s and say that they're the father of this shit because we know that little about what we're actually doing. That's what they need to actually be saying. Hey, do you want to try our program that we know nothing about? That's what they need to be saying. And once I got away from this, it was like, oh, look at that. I can think on my own. And it's just so fucking unethical. It's disgusting. So choice, self-authority, and then confidence. And that's all you need. Choice, self-authority, confidence. If you have a problem with choice, it goes back to fear. It really does every time. Fear is a lack of not choosing. The more you choose, the less fear you have. Fear of the unknown is the core of all fear. You don't know because you're not choosing, because you haven't made a plan, because you haven't made a choice. A lot of people say, well, I can't learn. That's because your learning has been shut down from the trauma. So in order to get your learning back up, you have to go back and make choices. You have to train your brain to literally problem solve again, because you're either in the escape room or the problem domain. That's it. Once you start making choices again, you get out of the problem domain in the escape room, you get back into the learning and problem solving. It reactivates your learning skills. Then you can start believing. The whole thing is this gorgeous little cycle. And it's simple. It is simple because Newton says so, that in simplicity, there is truth. Yeah, in truth, there is simplicity. Like If it's complicated, it's because they don't know what they're doing. It's because they're trying to manipulate you to make money. So really, that's it, is you've got your learning, living life in problem solving mode, which is where we all need to be. And if you can't get there, if you feel stuck, it's because you're either in an escape room or a problem domain. And you have to problem solve to get out. To problem solve, you need to make choices to learn. And this is it. Like it's back, and it's literally these two options back and forth again. And it's really about don't give up. If you can't find the solution right away, one of my favorite manifestations is show me how. When you manifest show me how, it starts to calm down the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind opens up its ARES system and it stops filtering for problems and it starts filtering for solutions. And that's it. Your RES is basically a subconscious mind net of information. It's a net that gets cast out and filters. It's a net filter. And this thing basically is designed to be closed or opened. If it's closed, it's looking for problems. And if it's open, it's looking for solutions. So you just got to turn your res around. This is science. This is so fucking easy. It's science. See, if psychologists were scientists, they would know this shit. So your res is closed. That's all. Your res is closed. Trauma closes it. That's all. So here's how to fix it. Basically, you use manifestation to open your res. That is what you're really doing when you're manifesting, when you're doing positive affirmations, when you're meditating. You're opening your res. It's really, really, really easy to do. It's about 10 days. And if you grab the book, The Silva Mind Method by Jose Silva, he uses neuroscience and science to actually prove this. And it's a really simple technique. The results are fucking powerful. He has over 500,000 proven results. And that was just in the research beginning when he started this thing. It is fucking powerful shit. And it teaches you how to manifest while it's there. So when you recondition your RAS to open versus close, it goes from a problem mindset over to a solution mindset. When it opens and you see solution, you start to problem solve. When you start to problem solve, it reconditions your subconscious mind so that it can start to see open doors of opportunity. When it sees opportunity, it gets you out of the maze and you start problem solving. You start learning. You start realizing that you're no longer limited. The rate of growth and a person's ability to learn is the core of who they are. And every one of us has it in our minds. This is not an opinion. This is fact that nature gave us the ability to learn. And if you're not learning, it's because it's just been turned off. You just need to turn it back on. It's a switch. It's literally a fucking switch. And the switch is conditioning your RAS to be open-minded. That's all. That's all. You just got to be open-minded. To be open-minded, you need to use conditioning, psychological conditioning, classical conditioning, to recondition your subconscious mind to be open for solutions. So it's I see solution. Obstacles melt away. Manifest this shit. I see, well, it's you see. You see all solutions. You see all opportunities. And it's really you see opportunity, you see solution. There are no obstacles. I overcome obstacles. And when you start conditioning your subconscious mind to do this, you are literally using words and logic to reprogram your subconscious mind to open up, to start learning again. That way you can start problem solving so you can get out of your escape room and you can get out of your problem domain. That will allow you to make choices, so then you can have self-authority, so then you can have confidence, and then you can start that cycle over. Once you have that cycle going over, holy shit, your life will take off. If it's not good enough for you, if you need more, that's where my program comes in. I have a lot of stuff available for that. And it's absolutely an extraordinary powerful concept. And like I said, it's also the understanding that logic, words, and emotions are all the same thing. So that now when you carefully choose the right words and you become more concerned about what words you're using, suddenly it alters your logic. And because your subconscious mind and your RAS system runs off of logic, so does your intuition, which is intuitive logic. As soon as you start doing that, the whole thing just clicks. Click, click, click. Like the whole thing, it's extraordinarily powerful. And this is one of the things that the more I'm simplifying this, the more I'm breaking it down, the more I'm looking at all the different components. There's not many components. There's like 5 components. Now, if you're somebody who needs the theory, I got the theory. I got the science. It's on my websites. I've got the physics formulas for you. I've got all the math for you. If you're somebody who needs the walkthrough, I've got my AIDNS. Like, it's all there. And when you've got the 5 components, you can literally just plug in your life and you're set. It's extraordinary. And my point is, psychology is fucking garbage because they haven't figured this shit out. And it's ridiculous. It's so fucking laughable. They're so ignorant, they don't know how ignorant they are. And that's fucking dangerous. I had that epiphany yesterday where I was thinking about, it all started with, I want to buy fish. I was like, I want to own fish. I love having fish. But I immediately did the whole, what is the consequence of me purchasing fish? What corporation would I be contributing to? What process and procurement would I be contributing to that's unethical if I were to buy fish? And suddenly I had this concept of being mindful about what I purchase and what I participate in, and making sure that I do the research, not just on fish care, which I've got down, but also on the, is it unethical to practice something in ignorance? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is something I had a massive epiphany is, it is unethical to practice something in ignorance. It is your responsibility to be educated about shit. It is your fucking responsibility. If you're going to purchase something, it is your responsibility to know where it comes from, what you are contributing to, what you are adding to. And it's very simple. It's an ethical, it's an ethic. It's the 5th ethical stage. So either you are aware and you're taking responsibility for your actions on several levels, or you're not. And it was this massive realization yesterday of being ignorant of your actions is unethical. And that's really, it is unethical to be ignorant of your actions. It's so fucking horribly unethical. It's like, it's something I really fucking struggle with. I remember when it was 30 years after I'd been doing my research on ontology, and I'm sitting here going, am I okay to call myself a physicist and a philosopher now? Is it okay for me to do that? I had studied for 30 fucking years. And I'm sitting here going, am I qualified to call myself that? Oh, I'm fucking qualified. But boy, did I do the research. I did the research to figure out if I was qualified to call myself by this. I've been studying metaphysics for 30 years. And it's because I was weighing in the ethics of ignorant action versus awareness. And when you have people who claim to have information, and then those same people are causing significant damage because they are that ignorant, and it's mind-blowing, and it really needs to be something we become aware of. And the thing is, you're on your own. You are on your own. And we've all said it, there is no handbook to life. Well, now there is. Bottom line, now there is. It's called the 12 Ethical Stages of Growth, and it's what I've created. That is it, exactly. It is the handbook of life. So you are empowered. You are aware. You know what you're doing now. And it's literally just providing people with direction for no other purpose than to empower themselves. No other purpose than to just empower themselves so that you are no longer dependent upon a bunch of idiots trying to tell you a bunch of shit that they know nothing about, fucking you up in the process because they're trying to make a buck. And it's just, there's nothing more dangerous than ignorance. Ignorance isn't bliss. It's fucking dangerous. That's it. I remember this man who I worked with. He was really fucking stupid. He had one of those stainless steel rooftops. And he went in, and after he bought his house, he didn't like the little nubs on the roof. He thought they were unattractive. So he went through and he removed all of them off. That winter, Their daughter was outside playing, and they found her beheaded. Literally beheaded. Those little things that he took off were designed to hold the sheets of ice on the roof so they wouldn't slide off and chop people's heads off, literally. And that's what happened to his daughter. He was so fucking stupid that he took off this unattractive piece of architecture, and it ended up killing his daughter. Ignorance is dumb. Ignorance is fucking dangerous. It isn't bliss, it's stupid, and it's a death sentence in some cases. This one girl I worked with, she came to work one day with a cast on her. And I went, oh my God, what happened? I was cleaning, and so I stood on my glass tabletop. The girl knew nothing about physics and was dumb fucking stupid. She did not know that a plane of glass is most weak at its central point. And there's going to be a few people who go, oh, I didn't know that. Because ignorance is dangerous. A plane of glass is most weak at its center point. So she stepped on it and her foot went through it, and it shredded her Achilles tendon. Ignorance is dangerous. That's why we have mental illness. Because ignorance is fucking dangerous. But hey, I'm glad you're all blissful. And that's the difference. We live in a society that brags that ignorance is bliss. Yeah. And you can literally measure a person's ignorance based off of how much mental illness they have. And we're at a point where education is literally the only fucking thing that's going to save us at this point. It really, truly is. Because ignorance is killing us. Ignorance is killing us. Ignorance is the difference between, I'm going to blow up this nuclear bomb to get land to avenge my ancestors because you've pissed me off. Like, you get so ignorant that self-preservation stops existing. And that's where we're at. We are so ignorant that we have lost self-preservation. Yeah. So when you really are serious about healing, you really start to realize the importance and the value of education and logic. And it blows my mind, the Neanderthal, because scientists sit there and analyze how they got wiped out. They didn't get wiped out. They weren't like the dinosaurs where boom, gone, extinction event. No, it wasn't. It was gradual, which means it was evolution, which means they were dumb. The Neanderthal died out because they were too ignorant to survive. And we are currently living in a society mingled with modern Neanderthals. I will forever use this word. We are literally seeing a schism between the modern Neanderthal and the next level of evolution in the human mind. And it's a matter of choose your team, because the ignorant is literally your modern Neanderthal. And then your educated is going to be the next level of human evolution. And because I studied sociology and anthropology and the development of human man, I can tell you what that's going to be, because we've been here before many times. We were here 45,000 years ago. We were here 150,000 years ago. We were here 750,000. This is like so predictable. It's mathematically disgusting because it's this predictable. We are just at the next stage of human evolution. And the common denominator between all of these is ignorant and educated. That's what 2001 Space Odyssey was all about. So it's literally you got to choose a team. Are you going to be smart and educate yourself or not? Because if you're not, you're in the clump of modern Neanderthal. And those are the people who take off the little architecture things that aren't pretty that behead your daughter. So, yeah. I am going to go contemplate the light meaning of life, the universe, and everything while I read Nietzsche, because I have Nietzsche here this morning. I have Thus Spoke Zarathustra this morning that I'm reading. So thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.